Text messaging during simulated driving. This research aims to identify the impact of text messaging on simulated driving performance. Previous studies regarding cell phone use while driving have shown an increase in the likelihood of being in an accident. They have also shown that there is no real difference between the use of handheld and hands-free cell phone use on the impact of driving performance. Uh, Studies have also shown that drivers who are engaging in cell phone conversations process 50% less information than other drivers due to inattentional blindness. Prior studies have shown that drivers do not decrease their performance based solely on having conversation with passengers. However, it has been shown that the manual entry of information and when using a cell phone or a DVD, navigation, or radio has resulted in negative changes in driving behavior. Text messaging has become more and more popular. In order to compose a text message, you need to devote a decent amount of attention and focus to the device. However, if you do this while you are trying to drive, it negatively impacts driving performance. The participants of this study were comprised of 40 young adults. There were 20 males and 20 females. They ranged in ages from 19 to 23 with an average age of 21 years old. They all had normal or corrected to normal visual acuity and color vision. They ranged from 3 to 7 years driving experience with an average of 4.75 years driving experience. 90% of the individuals in the study reported that they sent more than 3 text messages a day, as well as sending text messages while driving more than once a week.
The experiment took place in a high-fidelity driving simulator on a 32-mile multi-lane road. The pace car that engaged its brakes intermittently traveled in the right-hand lane, and there were 22 distractor vehicles of varying speeds traveling in the left-hand lane. Participants were instructed to use their own cell phones during the experiment.
For this experiment, data was collected from 2 different groups. The first group was just driving. The second group was driving while receiving and responding to text messages. The driver was to follow a pace car in the right-hand lane while exchanging text messages in order to plan their evening activities. While following the pace car, they would have to brake at 42 random intervals. If they failed to brake, the pace car would continue to slow down until they pressed their brake. If they failed to press their brake, a collision would occur. Driving performance was assessed based on brake onset time, following distance, lane maintenance, and collisions. The dual task participants were 0.2 seconds slower than the single task participants in responding to brake onset. For a frame of reference, at 60 miles per hour, a vehicle travels 17.6 feet in 0.2 seconds. Post hoc tests found that individuals who were only engaged in driving responded significantly faster than those individuals who were driving and entering text messages or reading and receiving text messages. However, they found that there was not a significant difference in the reaction time between those who were entering text messages and those who were reading and receiving text messages while driving. Analysis of following distance showed a significant difference between single and dual task conditions in average following distance, standard deviation of following distance, and minimum following distance. The dual task group's larger variation in following distance suggests that text messaging impairs forward vehicle control. Drivers from the dual task group experienced more instances of lane departures and lane position reversals. This suggests that text messaging impairs lateral vehicle control. There were a total of 7 collisions, each caused by different participants. 6 of the 7, or 86% of the collisions, occurred in the dual task condition. There was a significant difference between the single and dual task groups, indicating that texting while driving has a negative impact on driving performance. When this study is compared to a previous study, we can see that cell phone conversations are consistent with a sharing model of attention. Therefore, driving and conversating share attention, whereas text messaging is more consistent with a switching model of attention. So when you're texting and driving, you're switching your attention between the text messaging and the driving. This study showed that texting during simulated driving impairs brake onset time, following distance, lane maintenance, as well as increasing the rate of collisions. The negative impact texting has on simulating driving appears to be more severe than that of conversing on a cell phone while driving. What are some strengths and weaknesses of the external and/or internal validity of this study? Would hands-free texting better fit the sharing or switching model of attention? Is it possible that using hands-free texting can produce less detrimental impact on vehicle control than handheld or hands-free conversation? Is there a problem with thinking that an individual can choose a time of little demand of driving task to mitigate the risk of texting while driving?